we open our journey today by standing in front of this historic water pipe from the 1800s, which have brought our water from down in Rancho Cucamonga Peak down to the valley. And I'm going to have explained to us today one of the 5 board members on the water board of the Cucamonga Water District. And Jim Curatello, it's a pleasure to have you here, and thanks for allowing us into the canyon.
Thank you, and thank you, Mike, for spending your time and giving us an opportunity to share with you and the audience the wonderful resources that we do enjoy here in Rancho Cucamonga. Cucamonga Valley Water District, we serve about 190,000 people, and what we're going to visit today is East Etawanda Canyon, and East Etawanda Canyon is one of several major canyons that terminate into our valley here from the south side of the mountain range here. And we have Etawanda Canyon, Day Canyon, Deer Canyon, and Cucamonga Canyon are our major canyons, with some minor tributaries in between. But today we'll be going up to the falls at East Etawanda Canyon. We have a collection point there for our water, and we collect that water and we treat it right here at the Lloyd Michael Treatment Plant, and then we commingle it with our other water and we serve it to our community. And historically, being blessed with the water that we have locally here, the Indians in the area settled here. All of the explorers and travelers settled here because there was abundant water. And of course, that contributed to the prosperity and the development that we enjoy today.
Well, you know, it's interesting because my house is at an elevation at 1,800 feet approximately. And how high is Rancho Cucamonga Peak behind us?
Well, Cucamonga Peak is about between 9,000 and 10,000 feet.
And then how about Etawanda Peak? How high is that?
Similar. That's similar height.
And so a lot of our water comes from there. I understand we're going to even see some waterfalls today.
Yes.
Where we get our water, and a tunnel, underground water. Is that true?
Yes. These peaks serve, and these canyons serve as the headwaters to the watershed. And so if a drop of water falls on this side of Cucamonga Peak, for instance, it enters our watershed and we enjoy it. If it goes on the other side, it goes into Lytle Creek, which we also enjoy water rights to Lytle Creek.
Yeah. So, do you have a guest here you'd like to
very
introduce?
Important guest. This is Marty Zavervelis. He's our general manager of the water district, and he is our full-time professional expert. As board members, of course, we're members of the community that are elected to represent the community, but Marty is our full-time professional CEO of the water district.
Well, you ready to go see some water? Let's go. You guys ready to go see some water? Follow us. Here we are. We're about a mile from my neighborhood where I live, up here in Etawanda Canyon. As you can see, this beautiful stream which feeds our valley for water. And so I want to introduce and turn over what happens up here to the CEO of our water district, Marty.
Thanks, Mike. You know, thanks for joining us up here. This is a great part of our community. It's one of the the jewels of the community. We're standing here by Etawanda Creek. This is part of about 10% of the water supply to the residents of the Cucamonga Valley Water District, and it's a great natural resource.
Now, how far up does this creek go? Where does it come from in terms of miles?
Yeah, in terms of miles, the top of the watershed that supplies this canyon is 2.5 to 3 miles to the north of us, up to an elevation of close to 7,000, 8,000 feet.
And that water comes where? From where?
That water comes from spring flows, rainfall, seasonal snowpack, all the same places that feed our state's larger water supply.
And this creek, I understand, flows all year round.
This creek flows all year round. The flows do vary seasonally depending on the amount of snow that we get, and the amount of rainfall, and the temperatures.
Good. Now, where are we off to next? Our next source of water. Where are you going to take us, Marty?
We're going to take you to another source of our surface water supply, Day Canyon, which is just to the west of us.
Well, guys, you ready to go to Day Canyon? Let's go. Well, here we are at another canyon. This one is called Day Canyon, and I'm with my friend from the Water District, Mr. Jim Curatello. Jim, tell us a little bit about Day Canyon.
Well, Mike, this is another very important canyon, a very important water source for us, surface water. And where we are now at the pond is our collection point for this water. And we collect the water here. It goes into the system like we saw at Etawanda Canyon. There's a sandbox just down below. And then this water is treated at our treatment plant as well as with the other canyon.
Now we also have a creek that extends up this way. How far does this creek go up?
This goes all the way up, and Cucamonga Peak is a portion of Cucamonga Peak is the headwaters to this canyon.
What do you want to tell our folks down in the valley? How can they help to continue to preserve this wonderful place up here?
Okay, that's very important. We would like them to, number one, be aware that it's here, of its importance. We love the fact that people can come up here in our own backyard and enjoy this beautiful natural resource that we have. But while they're here, there is a balance between recreation and protecting a vitally important natural resource. So we would just ask them to practice good stewardship. Obviously, we don't want them to pollute in any way, trash. We don't want anything to end up in the creek that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It goes into our water system. And then protecting the natural beauty. Well, we would hope that people would refrain from graffiti or any other permanent markings that detract from the natural surroundings, the beauty of the natural surroundings.
Well, that's good. Okay, lastly then, of these questions, what can I specifically do as your legislator up in Sacramento to help you?
Well, we would hope and expect you to remain as responsive and as accessible as you have been, Mike, so that when issues do arise, we have a legislator we can approach and communicate with, and that we can spread the message that we have here of how important and unique this resource is to us. And we would like, obviously, other legislators to understand the importance of our local resource here.
Great, Jim, thank you. We've seen some beautiful canyons today. Where do we go next from here?
Well, we've seen Etawanda Canyon, we're in Day Canyon, and from here we'll be traveling by ground to Deer Canyon. And at that point, your camera crew, you'll have a helicopter ride, and you'll have an opportunity to see some of the wonderful spring water that we have that contributes to our water supply.
Well, you guys ready to take a helicopter ride? Let's go.
Great.
Okay, Mr. James Curatello, what a breathtaking ride that was in a helicopter. What creeks did we fly over just now?
Well, we flew over Cucamonga Canyon, and that's the westernmost major canyon for our water district, where we get surface water from. And we went up Cucamonga Canyon over that beautiful Cucamonga Peak.
And how high do you think we went?
We were about 10,000 feet.
10,000 feet.
And looking over into the high desert. And Mike, one of the things, if a drop of water falls on Cucamonga Peak, if it falls to the east, it goes into Lytle Creek. If it falls on the west, it goes in one of the several major drainages for us: Cucamonga Canyon, Deer Canyon, or Day Canyon, which we're going to fly to next. But we're at the top of Deer Canyon right now.
Okay, and this brings me to our cave here. Explain that to me.
This is called Tunnel A. We have several springs within Deer Canyon. This is one of the oldest and it's our major source of spring water at this time. It's historic. It was developed about in the 1880s, late 1800s. And for a number of years, this water just commingled with other water, with the surface water and then well water down below. But what I'll show you inside that's fantastic, we've isolated this water now with a wonderful public-private relationship and business relationship with Nestle's water, Arrowhead water. So we've isolated it now, and it stays in a pipe, and it's spring water. We get to develop the spring water.
Is this water good enough to drink today?
This water is as good as it gets. In fact, all the multi-million-dollar treatment plants we build, we try to replicate what nature does.
Well,
and this is.
But I want to go
pure
check out
spring
some
water.
of this water, so let's go in.
Okay, we're going to go inside the cave. Watch your head. And then we can sit here. Okay, Mike, we're in the entrance of Tunnel A, and you can see it's been modernized. In the past, these were all wooden timbers that held the security, the integrity of the tunnel. But this tunnel was dug in the late 1800s. It goes back, and we can probably see, maybe about 75 to 80 feet back. But this tunnel goes back several hundred feet. In fact, we don't know exactly how far it goes. We've been back a couple, maybe 250, 300 feet, and well, then we decided not to go back any further. So we're in a place that's very safe. This is all steel construction, but you can see the piping here. The piping goes back to a bulkhead, and the bulkhead holds back all the spring water, and then it goes into this pipe. It travels to this point, and you can see it right here. And would you like to taste some of this fresh spring water?
I want some water.
It doesn't get any better than this. Okay, let me get some for you. There you go. That's straight from
I'm safe to drink
heaven
this.
to your hand.
Heaven in my hand. Not too shabby.
Is that beautiful?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Fresh and cool and as good as it gets.
I'll take it.
Now remember, this water comes basically from snow runoff and seepage, and then these mountains are full of faults and fissures, and that's how it finds its way to the mountain and how it's found its way to this point. And this historically, the spring was right here where we sit, and it just came out and it went into the stream bed. But to develop it for improved flow and more consistent flow, that's when the tunnel was dug to develop the existing spring. We're only about 20 feet in. We're still under the reinforced steel, but this is the beginning of the tunnel, and you can see it goes back and it gets very rugged back there. Yeah. The water is underflowing this sand surface in a pipe, and we could literally go back hundreds of feet if we wanted to, but we don't want to do that. There's no need for that now. So, but this is it.
Right underneath here, there is water.
Yes, there's actually surface water here, but it runs underneath the top of the sand. But the major water supply is within a pipe that travels downhill.
Gotcha.
So this is it.
So
you can imagine
how far back does that go? Do you know?
Hundreds of feet. And we've never been back to the end.
Really?
And you can imagine in the 1880s and 90s, digging this with hand picks and shovels and bars. What an incredible feat that must have been.
It's pretty incredible today.
Yep, it is.
So you guys reinforced this with gunite then?
This is all gunite, but you can see back there.
Yeah, it's hot. We just had a great helicopter ride. We just came down from Cucamonga Peak, and we just landed right over here in this field. And in fact, the water from the mountains comes down and it filters right over there, about a half a mile away, to a brown tank, which we're going to take you over there in a minute and show you that. And then from there, the water is brought underground to these basins, and we have dozens of them. And I have my friend here, who's the superintendent of the Cucamonga Water District, Rob, and Rob's going to explain to us how the water is filtered and then into our homes. So Rob, take it away.
So as you said, the water flows from our local canyon sources into this water treatment facility, and this treatment facility is typical to a conventional water treatment plant you might find throughout Southern California. And after the water flows in here, we go through a process called coagulation, then flocculation, sedimentation, filtration, and disinfection. And those 5 processes encapsulate what we call conventional water treatment. So after it goes through those processes and we remove all the solids and pathogens and bacteria, et cetera, that are accumulated in the water over the course of its travel, in our case all the way down the California aqueduct, we remove all those pathogens, et cetera, in that process, and ultimately after the water goes through here, it goes out to our drinking water reservoir, and then it goes out to the distribution system into the consumers' homes.
How many basins do you have here?
This particular treatment plant has 12 filter basins. So the filter basins are these basins that are right adjacent to us. The rest of these basins constitute the other processes that we run the water through prior to getting to the filtration process. So we add chemicals that causes the particles in the water to become larger particles, so they'll fall out by gravity in the sedimentation processes, which are the large basins on the end of the plant. What doesn't come out through sedimentation, we remove through filtration in these basins here. It's actually a granular media that the water passes through. It basically simulates what Mother Earth does when water travels through the ground or removes particles, etc. A treatment process like this condenses that process into a very quick, instead of it taking years for water to travel through the earth before we pump it out, it travels through here in a matter of hours before we send it out to our distribution system.
Mr. Rob Hills, thank you for allowing us to be here today and for taking your time and explaining this to us. Love everything you've shown us here, and I'm confident in the water we have here in Rancho Cucamonga, so thanks again.
It's our pleasure, Mike.
Okay, you're going to take me inside then and show me how the computers work.
We will.
Let's go. We're back with Rob, and I'd like our audience to know this is not NASA, nor is it the NSA spying on us. We're actually here at the Rancho Cucamonga treatment plant, and all these monitors, well, you tell us exactly what goes on here, Rob.
So Mike, this is our central operation control room. From this room, we operate this water treatment plant. We also operate our other 2 water treatment plants in our service area. In addition to that, we also monitor and control the entire water distribution system. So in addition to the water treatment plants, we have several wells that are pumping water out of the ground into our water system. All of that water pumps up into reservoirs throughout our service area, and that water pumps up into reservoirs, then it gravity flows back down into the individual pressure zones. In our service area, we're built on a slope essentially, like so the foothills of the Cucamonga Mountains here. So we have several pressure zones that we pump water up through before it makes its way to a consumer's home. So from this location, our staff 24 hours a day monitors those processes, controls those processes. In addition, you can see we have a bunch of security monitors monitoring security at our different locations.
To keep your plant safe, anybody enters on the property, you guys know.
Correct.
Now, how many hours a day is someone here?
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And these monitors right here, could you just give me one example on what this obviously looks like there's water rushing through some pipes right now. So explain that to our listeners, if you would.
Right, so these control screens show different phases of the plant. This is actually a snapshot of what one of the filters is doing right now. So that's showing water flowing down through a filter process and then flowing out to our treated water reservoir. That monitor there is actually showing the entire process, a summary screen showing what the entire process is doing from where the water comes into the plant here to where the water leaves the plant on this end.
Very good, very good. Now, how many years have you been doing this?
I've been with this water agency about 14 years. I've been in the business for, gosh, close to 20 years now.
Well, that's a lot of good information. Is there anything else you think we need to know?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it.
Okay. Well, once again, good job. Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Well, what a wonderful day we had here at Rancho Cucamonga Water District, seeing how the water is brought from the mountains right into our homes. And so I want to thank you, Rob Hills, for being here and the good tour that you gave us. And to CEO Marty Zerverbelis, thank you very much. We're grateful for your time.
Well, thank you, Assemblyman Mike Morrell, for letting us share the Cucamonga Valley Water District story with you and all of the residents of your Assembly District. We hope that it's been an enjoyable experience.
It's been an excellent experience. Thanks again, guys. Thank you.